Hey Cambridge, this is City Councillor Nadeem Mazen coming to you with an update on the Monday, June 22nd City Council meeting, a somewhat shorter and more relaxed meeting than we sometimes see, but with some notable highlights. The city manager brought forward a slew of appointments and reappointments to our boards and commissions, and I've actually been speaking with him since the beginning of my term fairly consistently in the hopes that we will revitalize a lot of our boards and commissions. We see the work of excellent executive directors who are paid full-time to organize on issues of peace, women's rights, and a whole host of other things, including regulatory measures in the city. But often these commissions are also supposed to be filled with people power, people who are volunteers, residents who engage the community. For the Peace Commission, who knows what that will mean? If that will mean supporting interfaith organizing, Black Lives Matter, or the nuclear disarmament discussions that the Peace Commission led in decades past. But for all of these boards and commissions, I'm hoping that through our attention to those matters as residents and to our application to some of these boards and commissions on an ongoing basis, we'll see a lot of civic energy springing forth from organizations and commissions that may have waned in their influence over time. Another issue is the sidewalks on Huron Avenue. We have gotten pictures over the last few weeks of young kids biking in a dirt path next to heavy traffic, of elderly people pushing carts of groceries in traffic because there's no sidewalk. We're legally required to have a sidewalk in certain places in the city, and whether or not we're legally required in this case, I think there's some agreement on the council that we have to look into how a sidewalk should be situated and where to include a cycle track for the safety of people biking, people driving, and people walking in separate infrastructure. That passed unanimously, and there was some language added so that we study it first, so that we see the result as a council, and so that we make sure to mitigate any current parking, any current traffic issues in the area without interrupting the resources and the transit patterns that people have come to expect on Huron Avenue. I hope that we'll see a much safer space for people walking and for people biking, in addition to people driving over the next couple of weeks. Councillor Kelly and a few others brought a policy order before the council to ask about charter school information, and while it was phrased in a way that I don't think compares apples to apples in terms of attrition rates and other data, the intention behind the order I think is very good, to help us learn from charter schools, learn how much money we're spending on charter schools, and even the playing field between our public schools and charter schools, which are public in theory but also independent. I think that has to be done through a convening, discussions with the heads of other charter schools about what data we're seeing, about how we can learn from one another, and then discussions internally within the council, within the school committee, and within the city of Cambridge about what types of interaction with charter schools and what types of competition with charter schools will serve our regular public school students the best. That policy order was charter righted by Mayor Marr. I had suggested a convening in addition to the numbers and the data that were requested by Councillor Kelly and others. I think that level of complexity will require additional conversation. So charter writing it will put it into the summer meeting that is several weeks away, and in the intervening time I hope that we're able to talk about the issue and understand exactly the language that we want to pass in seeking equity and information and knowledge sharing between charter schools and public schools. Finally, I want to end in homage to the 9 people who were murdered in Charleston, South Carolina, the one who was injured. Of course, most people have heard about this brazen act of terrorism, and it's a deep affront to the country. President Obama has done 14 such speeches during his time as president on matters of shootings or terrorism, and we have a problem in this country. You know, a problem about infrastructural racism, socioeconomic disenfranchisement, but we also have a problem with terrorism, and it might not be the terrorism that you read about in the news. I was reading about a study the other day that said that right-wing terrorism is much more likely to cause violence in this country than any other type. I'm glad that we met with Black Lives Matter organizers, Stephanie and Mary, along with other community organizers and other Black Lives Matter organizers from across the region on the steps of City Hall this weekend to remember those lost. But I am also looking forward to the organizing that those groups and other groups are doing so that we communicate, so that we investigate the root causes underlying both violence and socioeconomic inequality in our neighborhoods, and so that we actually gain exposure and gain numbers as we move on from difficult situations like this towards a more just and more safe country. It's a sad note to end on, and I hope that you'll reach out to me if you'd like at nmazen@cambridgema.gov or nadeem@votenadeem.com if you'd like to reflect on this matter or any others. And if you'd like to be involved in organizing around this matter or any others, I will be happy to connect you to those lead organizers as well. Thanks for tuning in.